ordeal at Alabrak International Airport. The Nigerian delegation en route to Benghazi for the crucial match encountered unexpected difficulties when their chartered aircraft was diverted mid-flight to Alabrak, a small airport primarily used for Hajj operations. Upon arrival, the team was left stranded without assistance from the Libyan Football Federation, which failed to arrange any transportation. In a statement released on Monday, the NFF explained that the Super Eagles were stuck in the airport for over 12 hours, unable to reach their hotel in Benghazi, located 3 hours away. The Federation expressed deep frustration over the mishandling of the team and highlighted the lack of support from their Libyan counterparts. The NFF also said that the players have now decided to withdraw from playing the match and that arrangements are being made to fly the team back to Nigeria. Moving on, the presidency has clarified that Nigeria was not among those who competed in the 2024 United Nations Human Rights Council election, which was held on October 9, 2024. According to the press statement signed by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy Bayo Ononuga, Nigeria was not snubbed. The statement states that any votes mistakenly attributed to Nigeria during the recent election were likely cast in error by other nations. In line with such election into international bodies, countries vying for positions usually receive regional endorsements, and Nigeria's focus has been on supporting these endorsed candidates to strengthen collective African representation on the global stage. The presidency urged media outlets to verify their information before publication and cautioned against damaging narratives that could undermine the nation's reputation in international affairs. As citizens expressed concerns over the recent hike in the pump price of premium multi-spirit, also called petrol, across Nigeria, experts blamed the trend on foreign exchange crisis in the country. On Wednesday, October the 9th, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited increased the price of petrol across its retail outlets, leading to a subsequent increase in petrol prices to between 998 naira to 1,003 naira per litre. Now, speaking on the increase, the third in 1 year on the station's flagship program TV360, an oil and gas expert, Olabode Showumi, says while the price of crude oil will always determine the price of petrol, there's a need to shift focus to other means of sourcing foreign exchange.
As long as the price of crude oil does not come down, even if we decide to sell it at 200 naira per litre for finished product, the difference between what we are selling it and what the product is going for, somebody has to take it. So if government does not take it, if government takes it, that becomes subsidy, or somebody goes at a loss. So when we are expecting the price of a commodity to sell less than what is the official rate, it is either there is wishful thinking or we are expecting somebody to take that cost. Actually, on the contrary, what is better, and which is where the economists, and because that is not an energy discussion per se, is to allow people to focus on earning more foreign exchange than looking up to government for the solution to everything. Because this was the solution to Britain in the late 70s when they were going through similar policy changes, and China in the 60s and the 70s when they were going through it. So for us as Nigerians, rather than looking to government intervention for every single thing, there is the option for everything that we are doing to actually be sold abroad so that we can earn forex.
To party matters now. As the crisis within the PDP assumes another dimension, members of the party have blamed the leadership for failure to earlier address the crisis, which has created a multi-division at all levels. The crisis has now led to two factions carrying out separate suspensions. Since the conduct of the presidential primary of the last election, the PDP had been engulfed in the unending crisis. Lending in his thought on the crisis, PDP chieftain Diran Odeyemi says that the solution to the crisis in the PDP is political, where all organs and members must come to an agreement.
We already know that the party is divided longest time ago. the most unfortunate thing is, to what extent have we been able to sit down as a political party to resolve all these crises before it snowballed into major crisis, which is now open to the world? Of course, it's an ugly situation, and it's a shame on the dramatic personnel that were involved in this action. Nobody should be exonerated. We not exonerate the chairman, neither will not exonerate Debo Ologunagba and the legal advisor. Because if you cannot manage yourselves, how do you want to convince Nigerians that you can manage their affairs? That's what it means. When Wike lost the election, fine. When he lost that position to become the VP, another problem. When he requested or made a demand that Ayu should step down for his Southern chairman, and they didn't listen to him, we went into that election divided, and we lost. After losing the election, what is expected for us to now sit down and say, yes, we have all found ourselves on the ground. How do we pick up? From where do we start again? Let us reconcile genuinely. Let us talk among ourselves. But nobody is doing that.
In other stories, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says his administration will continue to strengthen and develop bilateral relationships with other countries to improve the growth of the state's economy for the benefit of residents of the state. Sanwo-Olu gave this pledge when the Prime Minister of Grenada, Dixon Mitchell, paid him a courtesy visit in the company of the chairman of Dangote Groups, Aliko Dangote, at Lagos House Marina, saying that the state had a lot of opportunities that Grenada stands to benefit from. He added that Nigeria and Grenada had many potentials, urging that the two countries should look forward towards advancement in their areas of culture and tourism, among others.
Alhaji, who is leading, the private sector in the country, have also taken you around, what we see as the biggest, refinery in the entire world. The audacity of even backing that, we can only but commend, continue to commend him. and so with that, we see an African partnership. We see a Nigerian growth partnership that we can lend to other parts, of the world. Is a man that we all respect and is very courageous, and we'll continue to, learn, from him. But on the political side, we are happy, to see how we can further deepen, ties and bilateral, movement, arts, culture, entertainment. These are things that pretty much are common, between our two regions. And let's look at how we can, develop that mineral resources, and just sort of like create an ecosystem, that our people can indeed.
We certainly think that there are significant opportunities for investment from both perspectives, from the perspective of businessmen and women in Lagos, seeing the Caribbean as a hub for further investment in the Caribbean, Central and Latin America. And as we know, there is a significant diaspora in the Caribbean, in North America, in South America, Central America. Sometimes South and Central America is forgotten, but the Caribbean sits between the two. So we also think that there are significant opportunities for there. Our culture, food, fashion, film industry. I think the music has already taken off and has become renowned, and citizens of the diaspora are always eager to hear, see, host, and be entertained by the enormous talent that has come out from Africa over the last decade with Afrobeats. We certainly think there are greater opportunities for collaboration between Afrobeat artists and Caribbean artists.
In a significant move to enhance security and combat insurgency in Kogi West, Senator Sunday Karimi has built and handed over a fully equipped military base to the Nigerian Army. The base, located in Egbeyagba West local government area, is expected to bolster security effort in the region. During the commissioning, Senator Karimi emphasized the base's role in ensuring swift responses to threats such as terrorism, kidnapping, and criminal activities. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Terry Lagbaja, represented by Major General Obina Onugbogo, pressed the Senator's support for the military. The base is expected to enhance security and restore peace to Kogi and surrounding areas.
You find out that kidnapping will be done in Ekiti, in Osun, in Ondo, and they will come around the forest, around this location, to come and collect their ransom. Our farmers can no longer go to farm. So I felt it challenging, that what can I do to alleviate the situation for our people? That is the whole thing that came to mind that brought about this project. I felt if we have a strong military base here, this community being the boundary to Kwara, that it will help to address or minimize the security situation that we find ourselves. And that is why this project was conceived. The pressure in Yagba West and Yagba East, Kababuno and Ijumo in particular, is much as some identified camps are within the neighborhood. The kidnap of coastal students, Ostara, were rescued within the neighborhood of this local government of a state very close to us, I mean Kwara State. Therefore, the establishment of this forward operation base will serve to form a check of influx into Kogi State, provide the needed safety for our people, and also allow the Nigerian Army take firm control of the security of this area.
I must say that the construction of this new FOB is very timely, bearing in mind the operational and logistical challenges we faced during the recent rescue of kidnapped students of the Complex University of Technology, Kogi State, who were rescued from the forests adjoining Egbe town. Drawing from that experience, I am confident that this facility will no doubt enhance military operations and overall security in Egbe and along the border between Kwara and Kogi states.
Meanwhile, Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tuji-Ojo has said the Nigerian government is committed to implementing reforms that will overhaul the Nigerian Correctional Service. Speaking during a presentation, Tuji-Ojo said the Nigeria Correctional Service Act of 2019 mandates a focus on reforming, rehabilitating and reintegrating juvenile offenders into the society. He also expressed concerns over the number of correctional centers in relation to the inmate population across the country. The minister also addressed the case of Bobrisky, a popular cross-dresser known as Idris Okunaye, saying things will no longer be as they are and that his focus is on the officer and not on Idris. Meanwhile, in a major crackdown on transnational drug cartels, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLA) at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, have arrested a Thailand returner Nnameka Simon Peter for attempting to smuggle 13.30 kilograms of heroin worth over 3.192 billion naira into Nigeria. The 29-year-old was apprehended on October the 7th while trying to exit the airport with the illicit drug concealed in 6 backpacks into 2 suitcases. Simon Peter, a mechanical engineering graduate, confessed to being hired for $7,000 to deliver the drugs in Lagos and Accra, Ghana. Meanwhile, NDLA operatives also intercepted large consignment of opioids, including tramadol and codeine-based syrups, worth over 22.7 billion naira at Lekki Deep Sea Port, Apapa, and Port Harcourt Port Complex. Additionally, NDLA operatives across Anambra, Edo, and other states resulted in the arrest of suspects and the seizure of large quantities of drugs, including 50,000 tablets of tramadol and over a ton of cannabis. These interdictions coincides with the agency's ongoing war against drug abuse sensitization activities in schools and communities nationwide.
It's about the files your secretary presented to me regarding the company salary. Yes, the figures don't seem to add up. I suspect there's some form of a
discrepancy.
Precisely, sir.
Keep the figure that way. That's not doing, sir. That's my money.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that, sir.
See how padded your cheeks are. Are you telling me you cannot pad up figures?
Sir, padding is against best auditing practices, and it's a form of corruption.
It's true. Accountant.
You were testing. Thank you, sir.
That's it. Macaulay.
Yes, sir.
You are fired. Yeah.
Fine, sir. Rather than watch corruption grow under my watch. Padding is a form of corruption and not in my country, sir.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Opinions are free. Facts are sacred. The truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
When you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
And on business, international bilateral electricity customers in Benin Republic and Togo owe Nigeria $5.79 million for the energy consumed in the second quarter of 2024. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission reviewed this in its latest report, second quarter 2024. Out of the $15.60 million invoice issued by the market operators between April and June, the international customers remitted $9.81 million. In the first quarter, none of the 4 international bilateral customers being supplied by the power generation companies made payment against the cumulative invoice of $14.19 million issued by the market operators for services rendered. And the Nigerian government is proposed introducing a tax payment option that enables individuals to pay their taxes in installment. It introduced this if introduced in Nigeria Tax Bill 2024, recently submitted to the National Assembly for consideration and approval. This means that each person now has the flexibility to fulfill their tax obligations either by making a single lump sum payment or by spreading the payment out every other time and settling before the designated due date for filing. The government also proposed the creation of a special account by the Accountant General of the Federation for tax refunds. And oil prices on Monday wiped out nearly all gains made last week after data showed China's inflation rate declined and a lack of clarity on the country's economic stimulus plan stoked fears about fall demands in the world's biggest crude importer. Brent crude futures fell $1 to $78, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures also fell $1 to $74 per barrel. Both benchmarks gave up all their gains from last week, falling by more than 1.5% a barrel earlier on Monday. Before recovering some grounds, Brent gained 99 cents last week, while WTI climbed $1.18 last week. And on the foreign scene, a man in illegal possession of a shotgun and a loaded handgun was arrested at an intersection where Donald Trump's rally in Coachella, California on Saturday, police have said. The 49-year-old suspect, Van Miller, was driving a black SUV when he was stopped at a security checkpoint by deputies who located the 2 firearms and a high-capacity magazine. Miller was then taken into custody without incident, the River Country Sheriff Office said, and booked on possession of a loaded firearm and possession of a high-capacity magazine while he was later released. Now, this is the 3rd time someone with firearm has either been arrested or shot after being spotted near Donald Trump. Still on the foreign scene, Israeli Energy Minister El Kochen on Monday has accused the United Nations UNIFIL peacekeepers in South Lebanon of being a useless force that failed to protect Israelis from Hezbollah attacks and called on it to withdraw as fighting ramps up. Israel and the United Nations have been trading accusations over the peacekeepers in South Lebanon as Israel pushes its force through an area in an attempt to wipe out Iran-backed Hezbollah and its military infrastructure. The UN said Israeli tank had burst into its base on Sunday, the latest allegation of Israelis' violations against peacekeeping forces that have been condemned by Hezbollah and by Israeli allies. And finally on sport, former Green Eagles goalkeeper Peter Fregene is dead. His death was announced by Segun Odegbami on Sunday. Odegbami, Peter Fregene's friend and ex-international, said the legend died after a protracted illness in the presence of his wife Tina and 2 of his children. The 72-year-old former striker, who recently solicited financial assistance for Fregene, who is also 77, expressed gratitude to those who supported the ex-goalkeeper during his illness. Popularly known as the Flying Card, Fregene was the first-choice goalkeeper for the Nigerian national football team from 1968 to 1971. He was then recalled for the 1982 African Cup of Nations finals. He also represented Nigeria at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico. The organizers of the much-anticipated 2024 Bankers Game have confirmed that 8 teams will compete for the title this year. The competition is slated to take place on October 26 at the University of Lagos Sport Complex, Lagos. The 8 banks will compete in 8 different sports, including chess, virtual games, football, table tennis, volleyball, Scrabble, and athletics.
If you look around, you can see the way people are connecting, the gisting, friendship, and everybody says Nigeria is tough. Nigeria is tough, so it's a time for people to also relax. Nigeria Bankers Games is time to have fun, relax. So that's why you see over the past 22 years, the Bankers Games has always remained, and everybody's part of it. So we're excited, and we look forward to another fantastic one.
Bankers Games is all about fun. It's all about bonding between banks. It's all about meeting people, making friends, and basically keeping fit. Yeah. This game started about 23 years ago. The essence was to foster a relationship between bankers. And as you all know, banking job is stressful. And so, Media Vision came up with this idea, just for not only to get bankers to relax, but also to network, and at the same time ensure that we have like a work-life balance.
And that wraps up our bulletin on News Now. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkulia. See you again next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
kamar ina da tare da waya ta ma za ku ga hamada saboda ni na ɗauka waya
kamar yanzu kamar ana mutum yana cikin bidiyo na gargajiya ko ka tona hamada ko
gurin kiwon ma babu gonakan ka babu ma maganar gonakai duk inda muke da gonakai gurin sahara ya ce gurin kiwo sahara ya ce kuma taku da kanka ma kana tafiya wallahi kana sai ka yi kana tafiya wani gangare in ka shiga ko ka gani ka sai ya tafi da ba kana tona ma ba za ka kama shi karuwa yake ma karuwa ba an ce akwai ma'aikatan ma
Farmers and herders in Nigeria used to enjoy relative peace as they interacted with each other. That is no longer the case. It is estimated that between 2016 and 2018, over 3,600 lives were lost to the crisis between the two groups. In the first half of 2018, about 300,000 people became displaced for the same reason. Northwestern and North Central Nigeria have notably been the heart of this violence. But the crisis is spreading fast to other parts of the country, including the South. Several factors have been identified for the wave of bloodshed. Rapidly increasing population figures, rapidly dwindling resources, which both groups rely on. Also, the pattern of migration of the traditionally nomadic Fulani cattle rearers has been changing. This is due to rising insecurity, improvements in veterinary medicine, hostility from locals and state governments, and a bunch of environmental factors including climate change, desertification, loss of vegetation, and water scarcity. In Yobe, northeast Nigeria, the relationship between the scarcity of natural resources and increased violence is obvious. From the encroachment of the Sahara Desert to the shrinking of the Hadija Nguru wetlands.
ina magana a kan yanayin mutuwar dabbobinmu lokacin yunwa. Misali, idan rani ya ja lokaci kafin faduwar damuna, duk da faduwar damuna, ciyawa ta kan yanke.
Wato matsalar da muke samu na takwarawa hamada mu dai faru na gama in particular daga Fulani gabar da nan kenan da muke zaune har zuwa Gumsi ita ce su lokacin gama kuma jajin bayan da dai abubuwan da kuke gani a nan yanzu a ƙasa ta kusa kan dai hamada ta riga ta cika lokacin gama ta yi nisa ta ci sosai ba mu san dai kuma abin da zai biyo baya ba amma ɓangaren gwamnati
the challenge of climate change and the consequences of climate change on the environment, especially when you look closely at environmental degradation and the competition for resources, in this instance specifically for land and water, has in several instances generated conflict. There is virtually no part of the northwest, not to an extent north central, and then northeast that you go to that you don't see receding water bodies, and how this is having a huge impact on the socio-economic well-being of and livelihoods of the people in those communities. And so the likelihood of migration from the core northern states into some parts of southern Nigeria is something that is real.
Zakari, a village in Yusufari, northern Yobe State, lies on the fringes of the Sahara Desert. About 50 years ago, it was like any other arid northeast Nigerian community, with decent vegetation, a smooth road network, sun-baked mud buildings, and a great many people who had lived there for generations. Now it is just miles and miles of sand dunes. desert encroachment has pushed out the majority of the residents, many of them herders. Malam Musa is one of many herders in Gaydam who have now resettled in the Song area of Adamawa.
Sani wanda ya yi sanadiyan barin su yankin nan? Akwai. Na je kai kaman gidaje na ko rugaje na ko mutane nawa za ka gaba kayyana?
Kai kamar 100.
Wato wanda suka bar nan wajen.
Take kaɗan ɗin.
A sanadiyan wannan. To ya kuke fama da baki?
Around January, February, you hardly see anything in the place that an animal will browse or take as a food. And there's no water even to drink. So this is one of the factors that will make them to come southwards. If they move southwards for water and for grazing the dry grasses. Definitely the desert encroachment is one of the factors that is concentrating the animal into a place and making the clashes between farmers and herders more frequent. More often. Had it been that in the area that is encroached by desert, there is grasses and water for them to, they may not be there. They will not have to move. They will not have to move. But now it's necessary that they must come southward as the dry season is approaching. They must come southward in search of little pasture and drinking water. While during the rainy season approach, they go north. No, since there may be water and little grasses for them to graze.
The problem with desert encroachment is not going to stop anytime soon. According to one estimate, the sand dunes shift towards the south at a rate of 30 hectares each year, putting 11 states in northern Nigeria at risk of desertification. More cattle rearers in these places are moving elsewhere due to the combination of factors: insecurity, drought, desertification, and the need for water.
Ruwan baɗi irin na ba, saboda ruwan kowa ya ji fadama bai sha ruwa ba, gashi kuma ga wurare gonaki ko ina fili ya ƙare, ba gurin yau. To shi ne makayayan da suka zo ga lamirin mu anan mun yi da mu da su akan mu kore su. Muka yi mu kore su, abun ya gagare mu, muka gaya wa lawanin mu shi ma ya yi dan abun da bakin kokarinsa, abun ya gagari, mun gaya wa hakimi ma, duk kowa ya san da baki, kuma bakin nan ba daga wani guri suke ba, daga Jigawa.
The migration of herders to new places tends to lead to clashes or aggravate existing conflicts because of competition over insufficient land and water resources.
Ina tafiya suna tare ni da kibiya suna jifa na ni ina so in tafi gurin yaran can, su kuma suna gefen nan gefen kudu haka, su yaran suna gabar, ni ina tafiya gun su gabar, su kuma suna gefe na
yaran da suke aikin
shinkafa.
Kai kana so ka iso wajen su?
Su kuma wannan
makiyaya kuma sai suka zargo
a cikin gona.
Sai suka zargo suka fara harbi.
Sai suka kama harbi. Suna harbi na, suna jifa, ni ban sani ba ma. Ni da na gani haka dai, ina gani suna yin haka dai da abin su suna jifa. Amma kibiyan bai zo ya same ni ba, ban gani ba ma. Ashe wai su harbi suke. Sai na fasa tafiya gun yara, sai na tafi gun yara Fulani din. To ina tafiya, ɗayan yana yin harbinsa, ashe kibiyarsa ya ƙare. da ya gani na kusa zuwa gunsa sai dan uwansa sai ya jefa masa addansa. Shi wani yana da kibiya shi zai gudu kenan. Sai ya jefa wannan da ba zai gudu ba, sai ya jefa masa adda. Kawai yaron nan kawai sai ya tafi da gudu. Sai ya fita da gudu ya zo ya same ni ya doka mu.
Adda?
Da itace a hannuna na ɗauka na masu buge shinkafa. Ya yanke itacen. Kuma ya yanke hannu. Hannun yanzu haka babu, yanzu fakin ne aka ce za a yi, ba zai zama hannu ba.
To shi ne wannan kibiya ɗin kibiyan kenan?
Shi lokacin da ya tsare da adda na faɗi.
Kamar shekara 5 a bangaren noma din gaskiya ba mu da matsala da su. Amma daga shekara 2 zuwa 3 ɗin abubuwan suka ƙara lalacewa.
Kuma karanci ruwa shi ya kawo inda ruwan ya zo an zuba da shinkafa. Wani guri ya hau wani guri bai hau ba. To dalilin wannan su ne dama wanda Fulani suka samu rashin ruwan shi ya kawo su. Suka shiga ka zauna kuma abinda sauran shinkafan masu ma rashin kiyawa da mai suka shiga shinkafa mutane suna ci. An hana su abin muhimmi da ya fi karfi mu gaskiya mu na maguru.
In Nguru, about 100 kilometers west of Yusufari, is a section of the Hadija Nguru wetlands. For many years, the waterlogged fields and rivers in the area have sustained the livelihoods of millions of farmers, herders, and fishermen. But the water is starting to recede. Harvests, especially for rice farmers, have dropped significantly in the past year. They are also facing more problems from herders, whose cattle graze on the farms closer to town before harvest is done.
To gaskiya wannan dai inda dai dade da ruwan dai hakan duk ba za ta faru da yawa ba. Da rashin ruwan ma kuma da ta'adin da Fulani ne duk dai ba wanda za a ce ba.
Kowa ya taka rawa ciki.
Gaskiya ne.
Yanzu a ganin ka me kake gani ya kamata a yi wanda zai iya magance wannan abun? Ita buɗewar ne ko kuma
an da an buɗe ruwa din za a iya samun saukin kan abin. Hanyar ruwa idan ta riga ta gyaru zaman lafiya tsakanin tunda daɗin ruwa yana zama ba wani matsala tsakanin su. Da can asali din da ruwa yana zaune muna zaune da ruwa daga baya kuma ruwan ya yi karanci zuwa yanzu shekara kamar 12. Da akwai ruwa baya amma zuwa
sosai ba sa ɗaukan sa kamar wani muhimmanci.
Gona biyu haka aka ce kowanne a baya ina samun 30 gona biyu ina samun 60 babu ɗaya kwano ɗaya ban samu kuma na yi yunkuri na ji na gaya ciyama.
To our own understanding, the major problems is the absence of coming of the water. That are the reason why we fail to get what we have.
Lack of water.
They are all affected the land. We have only source of water. If that source bring us water, the whole area farming well and organized. And then if there is no water from that only center we have it, we all lost. And what we understand now, the farmers at Onguru, they have already failed. 70% of our farmers have nothing to farm. 90%. Have 20% get only rice that have been eaten in their house. And then 10% are those that are gain something from the farming. And even me, I've tried to farm more than 1,000 to 2,000 rice. And my chairman more than 20,000. And the secretary will do more than 25,000 because of he's richer than us. But now, even I don't have even 10 bucks. I pay more than 1,000 and I don't have even 10 bucks.
Okay, kana ga da ka dauka
babu sun ce shanu sun cinye ne yayi mu ruwa bai shiga ba.
Some footprints of the cows or plants that they've eaten.
Akwai da zamu iya ganin zamu iya daukan hoton
da ta mutu a cikin su.
To a tsarin mu na uku kare lamba sai mu ya ga gaba da wannan.
The major problem is lack of water. And then the second problem is the coming of the Fulani from somewhere else. And then that Fulani come because of the absence of water.
Three factors have been identified for the water problem: the proliferation of the invasive taifa grass, the construction of dams along water roads supplying the wetlands, such as the Tiga Dam in Kano, and droughts. One other reason for the increased clashes between farmers and herders in Nigeria is the encroachment of grazing roads, reserved for use by pastoralists, by northern lawmakers during the First Republic. These grazing roads and reserves are now being converted into farmlands and other structures. This makes it difficult for herders to move about freely without trespassing, and has repeatedly been used as an excuse.
Burtali nan da abin da ya kama daga nan har zuwa Sudan akwai burtali, amma su manoma duk sun je sun hakkale sun je sun yi shuku da sauransu. Shi yasa su Fulani kai musu magana da wannan suke laɓewa. An kashe burtali da sauransu. Mun hakikanin gaskiya yawancin tashin hankali da muke samu a nan akan harkar manoma da makiyaya yawanci duka ba makiyaya namu na nan bane, daga wani guri ne suke zuwa. Sun suka zo kuma ba sa tsoron ɓannatar da kayan mutane, kuma ba sa tsoron faɗa.
Even though the Nigerian government has kick-started attempts to revisit the grazing roads, experts say this is not the long-lasting solution that is needed.
The era of open grazing, in my honest opinion, is over. Yes, as a temporary measure and to allow for a de-escalation of the current situation that we're in, there may be a need to allow some form of movement, but that movement should be generated towards encouraging ranching and encouraging some more other sophisticated type of livestock rearing.
Unless when this is modernized, this problem of movement from one place to the other, or maybe to get sufficient either meat or milk and cater for the country is being modernized, I don't think we can achieve this our target. One of the problems, as I told you earlier, is that those people that are handling the animals refuse to go to school. They must be educated before they have that thinking that you are saying. Those people that are illiterate, they are all what they knew nothing about apart from the cattle. If you want them to improve what they are doing, how are you going to incorporate that knowledge into their own thinking? It's very difficult. And another problem to my own seeing is that government also is not paying much attention to the cattle rearers. You can hear programs, fertilizer, and what again?
Seed.
Seed
Farmers loans to farmers.
most of the government programs are targeted towards crop cultivation. You can hardly come across any program that is targeted towards the cattle rearers. You can even hear about the states that are banning open grazing.
mu masu karamin karfi ne abinda muke da shi ga daren mun tattara mun je mun zubar a jeji domin wannan in ya fito a shi da mu samu da mu ci mu taimaka yan uwa mu marayu ne to amma babu an riga an cinye yanzu haka nan haka sidda yanzu haka nan da 500 da je samu a cikin kwari.
Right in the middle of this forest in southwest Ogun State and inside the buildings below, a young generation of farmers in Nigeria is changing the face of farming and attracting young people to a venture many of them had not always liked. And 36-year-old Peter Okocha Jr., or PJ as he's fondly called, is leading the change. An economist by training before branching off into farming, PJ and his team are deploying a unique method of farming known as aeroponics to grow cash crops, starting out here in August of 2017.
What's taking place is that you're seeing agricultural technology. It's a disruptive form of technology. It's called aeroponics, whereby the plants are grown in a soilless medium. Essentially, there's no soil, and the roots of the plants, which are underneath these boxes, are being misted with nutrients and so forth. So everything is within a controlled environment, and it's fully automated as well.
Their focal crop is yam, a very popular edible starchy tuber mainly cultivated in Africa and exported across the world.
The yam subsector of the overall agricultural sector, it's a very lucrative sector. But the problem is that the requisite inputs haven't been applied. And so what we're doing in this program is saying that, okay, we know that there's a sector that currently has a value, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization based in Rome, of about $13 billion US. But with the requisite inputs, the yam subsector will grow from $13 billion to about $19 billion. And this is Nigeria alone. So what we've said is that, okay, we know also that Nigeria accounts for 60% of the global production of yam, but yet we don't have inputs such as seed. And as you know, seeds, or the lab and the seed essentially is the genesis of the agricultural sector. So what we're doing is that in conjunction with IITA, we get clean seeds, essentially from IITA, from the lab, and then we come and we transplant to the system here.
The system is a greenhouse where the yam seeds are grown in this row of boxes using aeroponics, more like growing yams in the air. Now just take a look at these leaves. Every leaf you see here is a potential tuber of yam. So to get a sense of how many tubers of yam we have here, you just have to do a count of all the leaves we have here. It's something very massive.
We have about 10 boxes, and in those boxes, all fully automated aeroponic systems, and it leads to high propagation of plants. And so we're actually massively propagating, and it will continue like this for a 3-year period of just continuous growth, non-stop. After the propagation, what you'll see is that it will essentially form a canopy. It will be very bush-like and so forth, and from there we'll start vine cutting. And from the vine cutting, we'll cut these, we'll put them into essentially polyethylene bags and with a nutrient solution, and they'll stay in there for about a month. And essentially what it is that because this is in a controlled environment, we're taking them out and saying, okay, we're preparing you for a month to get used to the external elements, and they'll be there for a month, and then we eventually take them to the field.
This is the field where they are brought and planted into the soil so the seeds could develop fully.
These right now currently have been here for about 3 weeks, and we're still planting now, and they'll be here for a total of about 3 months. And after about 3 months, we'll get seeds of about 250 to about 500 grams. And those are the seeds that we'll provide to farmers. And farmers can then go and plant directly, and it will give them the ware yam sizes of 1 kg, 2 kg and above.
One of the smallholder farmers who's been using the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm is Awofe Ademola. He's been into traditional yam farming all his adult life and says the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm have seen his output more than double and safe from pests.
There's a lot of difference between the two methods because the new method doesn't get infected by pests and it doesn't change color like the traditional planted yams. It will remain fresh as it is wherever it is kept. Their yam when harvested is almost 3 times or 4 times more than ours. When we plant one of our own seed yam, it equates to 4 of theirs.
Habibat Umar is the only female in the group. She's one of those overseeing the day-to-day running of the smart farm. She says she's fascinated by the whole idea of it.
One of the things that fascinates me most is the fact that we can go all year round producing food. More like you can cheat God's creation and having to depend on the rain and all. And everybody wants to eat all the time. You don't want to wait for when the rain is here. And so the fact that we can provide the food all year round, it's everything to me.
Even though all may seem fine, PJ and his team are battling familiar challenges to keep their operations running.
More attention needs to be given to the sector. There needs to be more financing put in place. We need to have adequate land laws in place and to ensure that we can optimize all the arable land that we have and so forth. There needs to be insurance. We need to have better road networks. Power is a major impediment as well. Essentially we have our own solar system, as well as the fact that we also have a generator as well for backup. So power cost is also a major impediment as well. So all of these things, if we can put all these things in place, then the sector will boom for sure.
PJ and his team are setting themselves up as role models for young people. In a country where youth unemployment is high, they are hoping to inspire many within their age bracket to take to their kind of farming technique.
We need women to even join this change because this is not all about. We've gone past the stage of waiting for men doing it. So why wouldn't I want to be part of it? Like let people say, oh, she's a woman, she's doing it. Do you understand? So women have to join this change.
My message for the youth is saying that, listen, with the use of technology and disruptive methods such as this, essentially you can run your farm on your laptop, on your computer and so forth and everything. It's all automated. So essentially this makes agriculture cool. It makes agriculture sexy. You have the technological components to it and so forth and everything. So it's not just the conventional, back-breaking work in the field and so forth and everything like that. There are also these components as well that will make it appealing to the youth. So I say, listen, join me. We have a nation to feed and we have a nation to grow as well.
It's a pleasure to have you join us on 360 Health. I am Ogechukwu Okekwe. The Minister of State for Environment, Kunle Salako, says Nigerians need to strengthen its health system and workforce as a response to the growing challenges posed by climate change. The minister said this at the annual general meeting and scientific conference of the National Association of Resident Doctors held in Ogun State. Salako, who presented a paper with the title Building a Resilient Health Workforce, Embracing Climate-Centric Innovation, said that climate change is posing a threat to humanity and expressed the need for the nation's health sector to be prepared to tackle the challenges. An effort has been made by the West African Health Organization to strengthen its surveillance measures against the spread of mpox. The organization, under the endorsement of the Economic Community of West African States, has also raised alarm over the continued spread of the disease, even as it warned against the consumption of bushmeats. The WHO Technical Advisor on Cross-Border Surveillance and Workshop Capacity Development, Aisha Usman, spoke with newsmen on the sideline of the National One Health Surveillance and Information Sharing Operation Tools Operation Workshop held in Lagos. Usman, who spoke on the outbreak of mpox, said the organization has strengthened cross-border surveillance while at the same time engaged in information sharing with relevant stakeholders to stop cross-border transit of the disease. Let's take a quick break. We'll return shortly.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello. Alhaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello? Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I'll just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
But you just lied to someone that we are in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. The World Contraception Day promotes awareness about contraception, promotes the overall health of individuals, both men and women, promotes open discussions in the global population about the indication of contraceptives, promote the rights of women and gender equality worldwide. The day is essential to spread awareness of various contraceptive options to individuals, especially women and men, regarding family planning and reproductive health. The conversation surrounding contraception often centers around women, focusing on their choices, health, and responsibility. However, it is crucial to recognize the significant role men play in family planning and reproductive health, involving men in contraceptive decision challenges, outdated norms about masculinity that suggest men should not engage in reproductive health matters. Well, joining me on the program to discuss more is Abiodun Ajayi, Executive Director of Public Health Sustainable Advocacy Initiative. Thank you for joining us. So what would you say is the primary goal of the World Contraception Day, and why is it important?
All right, thank you very much for having me on this show. And it is very, very essential that we take this sensitization, not just to the media, also to to the grassroots level. And I know that this information that will be shared today will be taken beyond just this platform alone. So the reason or the brain behind the celebration of the World Contraception Day is to first and foremost create awareness on how to promote contraception. We understand that there's a lot of gaps around the issues around contraception. First and foremost, the misconception, within our people, misconception about their health, especially. So the World Contraception Day is geared towards promoting awareness about contraception, promote overall health of individuals, both men and women in the country. And there is also an avenue to open conversations around global population about indication of contraceptives. This is also essential because at this critical moment, government need to start looking at population to also, look at population and then draft out programs and initiatives around, public health of people living in their country. So it is also to measure our population and start driving our attention and our programs and initiatives that would also meet the demands of that growing population. And lastly, also, it also set up to promote the right of women and promote the gender equality, globally. So we understand that women have their right to make decisions, which is also very essential for us at our Public Health Sustainable Advocacy Initiative. But this decision cannot be, respected if everybody is not bring to the table. And how do we bring everybody to the table? Is by engaging both men and women regardless of the gender. So that is why this program is also set up, by the global communities. And the day is essential because we also need to recognize the effort of our women. We also need to recognize the effort of public, scientists. We also need to, recognize the effort of public health advocates who have been advocating for, family planning services across the globe. So it is very essential that this World Contraception Day is appreciated and adopted by everyone in the world.
So what role would you say education and outreach play in promoting effective contraception use?
Yeah, so education play a critical and pivotal role in contraception, in contraceptive or family planning issues. It plays a lot of roles because what you don't have, you cannot give. What you don't know, when you lack knowledge about a certain thing, you start giving false information and you might not even want to seek for more knowledge. Even the Bible says people are perished for lack of knowledge. So when you are knowledgeable about a particular issue that has to do with contraceptives or that has to do with family planning, even you don't need anybody to educate you before you go for it. So, the education part of this awareness is also to change people's perception, to also save people, because I gave this example while I was talking during the World Population Day on on LTV8, and I gave an instance of a family that I knew very well. They were giving birth to children. They had 7 children already. And when I approached her, because I knew that having children, I had to look at the economic standard of the both wife and the husband. And that they cannot even take care of the children. I had to approach the woman. Have you ever had a family planning? Because she said no. Have you ever been told about how to have to engage in child spacing. She said no. And it was right there I started educating her about it. And as I speak today, the woman has gone to take family planning too. And then she can no longer bear children because they already have number of children that they have. At the age of 38, they already have 7 children. So it's a big issue. So when we educate people, we are changing their mindset. We are building their capacity on what family planning method they should go for, and why outreach is also outreach play pivotal role is also to get people engaged in the community, saying that we are in your community today. You must, yes, we have had situation of men, giving wrong information to their wives. Maybe for instance, the wife was referred by her friend to go to any primary health care center and then get enrolled on the family planning method. And maybe peradventure the woman go back home to share that information to the husband. The husband will start saying, "Oh, I don't want you to take this because we said it does this, it does that." So when you meet us during our outreach program, we give you the quality information that you need, both as men and women. So outreach is also play very pivotal role in getting everybody on board and also ensuring that everybody has the same information that will also enhance their decision making.
So what is the most common misconception about contraception that needs to be addressed?
Well, they are popular, and more often we have come across all of these misconceptions in different dimensions. And one of it is when you take contraception, when you take family planning, your belly start growing. When you take contraception, you start experiencing fatness. When you take a family planning method, it might block your womb. You might not give birth again. You might not have the capacity to give birth again. So these are most common perception or misconception that has also taken over our society. That we have also used sensitization and outreaches and testimonies to also get rid of. So they are more common because when people come for family planning method and the nurse or the person in charge who is giving you such method gives you some directives, the moment you don't follow the protocol and the guidelines given to you, you might have complications. It is applicable to everything in life. If you are given an instruction, even when we write exams and they give you instruction that do not write beyond this border, if you follow that instruction, you might probably get good marks. But the moment you don't follow that procedure or that procedure given to you, prescribed to you by the public health scientist or a medical personnel, you might have complications. So complications are developed because you don't follow all those protocols or those procedures. So, and when the negative effect emerges, people start attaching those negative emergence or negative things to because you took this, that was why it happens to you. But they won't tell you what were the silly mistakes that they made, what are the nonchalant attitude that they also portray while taking that family planning method. So it's a big issue for us, and we kept saying that the moment you are given this method, follow the procedure of the medical personnel who attended to you. So it's a big issue, and we have used such platform like this to also get rid of all of these misconceptions, and even our outreaches also. We have also used this to get rid of this. Thank you.
So how can men be encouraged more to participate more actively in discussions about contraception and family planning?
So how can men be encouraged to participate more?
Yes.
The best thing is to keep engaging them, keep discussing with them, get them, let them take ownership. One of the things that I keep saying is this: women alone cannot take ownership of this campaign. We must also allow men to take ownership. We understand that men are very busy. Most likely they give reasons for why they are not, they don't have enough time. But it's also very important that at their own, privacy, where they reside, we must also identify men where they reside so that we can also start engaging them in this conversation. Yes, some women have decision-making power, while some don't have decision-making power. Even when they want to decide themselves, it still rely on the decision, the final approval of their husband. And if we are not engaging the men, we might likely continue to have a shortage of women who take more family planning method. And how can we get them involved? We need to identify stakeholders. We need to identify religious leaders who can also convince men, who have power over men, who can convince men to also encourage their wives to also get more. And for us at Public Health Sustainable Advocacy Initiative, we have over the years engaged interfaith groups where we also interact with them when they are having their outreaches to churches and mosques. We go with them, even to the traditional leaders. We go with them. We have private conversation with men. We tell men why they need to do this. And as I speak to you, Public Health Sustainable Advocacy Initiative is coming up with an initiative where we'll be inaugurating Men Champion for FP. So we want men to also be the voice to men. So if you are part of the champion, you as a man can go and talk to some of your colleagues who are also men to also discuss about family planning. They encourage them to encourage their wife, to also encourage their wife to take family planning methods. So these are more of the method that we can use to win men, to be an advocate of family planning.
Okay, so how does male involvement in contraception contribute to more equitable family planning discussion?
All right, so male involvement is just what I narrated earlier in the earlier response. That when we bring men onto the table to discuss about this issue, it also helps. It also boosts the decision-making power of women. It also helps women to see themselves as not being alone in this campaign. So they will also champion their awareness at their own space. As a man, I'm a married man, for instance. If I'm sharing my own success stories with another man, there's every tendency that he will take into my own experience because I'm sharing a success story with him. So male involvement is very critical and it must be valued. And that is why for us, we are not leaving men behind. We're engaging them, we're building that conversation with them. We also want to ensure that they are also the voice for the women. It is enough having women going home to tell their husband, I want to take this. We also want to have more of men who will go back home and say, my wife, I want you to go and take family planning. So, for instance, somebody said economic situation is also making men go back home to say their wife should go and take family planning. No, we can't really subject economic situation to that for now. But what is also important is this. We also have more men who feel economic situation is not an issue to them. The moment they have more children, the moment they have more children, out of them, they will have the rich one among them. So it is, everybody still have this misconception that is disturbing them. So we are engaging them and they are critical in this awareness. Thank you.
So how can we address the cultural and societal barriers that prevent access to contraception?
So one of the ways at which we can break that cultural barrier is to continue to engage traditional leaders and religious leaders. It is for us to continue the awareness and also get those traditional leaders involved. The moment you don't carry them along, there's every tendency that they will continue to live on the information that they have, which is also not promoting, the family planning, programs in the country. So we must bring them together. We must allow them to take ownership. We must also continue to create, champions in them, so that those champions can be the voice. We'll continue to engage religious leaders and traditional leaders, especially in this fight. And more importantly, too, we are not leaving anybody, untouched, because we believe that your input is very, very important. So, and then practically also to get away with these cultural barriers too. We must also continue to share success stories, unveil success stories of people who do not rely on the cultural barriers that have affected some people. So we are engaging them, and they are becoming the voice, and they are also sharing the testimony with other community members. Thank you.
Well, Ajayi Abiodun, Executive Director of Public Health Sustainable Advocacy Initiative, thank you for speaking with us on the program.
All right, thank you very much.
And that concludes this episode of our program. Many thanks for watching. See you next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
There are many sad and dark events in human history, but none devastated the African continent like slavery. To understand some of the plight those who were sold into slavery went through, one must visit Goree Island, their last point of departure from the African continent to the New World. Boarding the ferry to Goree Island. This is no slave ship, but it is no less built to capacity. But this time, with goods, tourists, traders, and for a hint of Noah's Ark, some animals, even though there are not two of each kind. Slavery ended more than 153 years ago. One can't help but feel sadness just walking the streets, trying to imagine what went through the minds of these citizens of various countries as they were hauled, sold, and shipped to a strange new world. Where did these slaves come from?
At that time, each African ethnic group had its price. And the most expensive ethnic group used to be the Yoruba. Yeah, they were from Nigeria. Because those Yoruba were very strong and tall, and they worked very hard in the plantations. That's why they were more expensive. They took those kids for two reasons. First, because in the plantations in America, there were some special jobs, typically for the kids, and they did them very well. And then because of most of those kids were from the parents very strong, because they saw that when they will grow up, they will be strong like their parents. That's why they took them. In all the 28 slave houses in Goree Island, the slave masters have the right to sleep with the young girls. Once a young girl was pregnant, she became free here in Goree Island or in Saint Louis in northern Senegal. But she wasn't totally free because usually she worked as domestic slave in the European houses, you know. That's why some of the young girls found a kind of interest to be pregnant from white masters so they can be free. At the time, the price of a man was up to his weight and his muscles. So the minimum weight for men was 60 kilos. Those who have less than 60 kilos, they put them in this special cell just in order to fatten them up. Let me tell you that they did not buy slaves with money. It was exchange. You know? For example, to buy a man up to 60 kilos or a virgin girl, you could give a gun or a barrel of wine or a blanket or something like that. To buy a child, you could give a mirror or a necklace or a piece of tobacco or something like that. So that's why people used to say that Africans also were involved into the slave trade, because some of the African tribal chiefs were collaborating with the Europeans.
Yeah.
And here, this is a punishment room for rebels. Those who fought against their masters, they put them inside to punish them. As you can see, they could not stand up inside because of the hooks. 4 or 5 people at the same time in this small room. In 1991, we welcomed in this house Nelson Mandela. And then Mandela came inside. He stayed in for about 5 minutes. But when he came out, Mandela was crying. Right and left you have the waiting rooms. The slave used to wait here before the shipment. At the famous door of no return. Because once the slave got out from this door, it's mean bye-bye Africa. They took them to America and they never come back. Because of the rocks, the boat could not come near. That's why from this door, they built a kind of palm wooden bridge as a wharf. But during every shipment, some of them tried to escape by jumping into water, but they never could go far because either they were killed by the security guards or they were eaten by the sharks. Why the sharks? Because at the time, in all the 28 slave houses in Gorée Island, once a slave got sick, just to avoid the epidemics, they threw him into water and that attracted the sharks. That's why there were a lot of sharks around the island. Let me tell you that slavery lasted in Gorée Island from 1536 to 1848, more than 300 years. And during that time, there were about 15 to 20 million slaves coming from all over the African western coast. They transit through Gorée Island to America, and 6 million of them died because of bad treatment. 6 million. Very emotional, but he knows it's very, in a high level, the history and the relationships between Africa and other countries, and also he knows exactly what's happened between the 16th until 19th. I'm talking about the slavery and the Atlantic slave trade.
Walking away from the island, there are some pretty paintings on the street walls. One must ask, what have these walls seen, or what cries have they heard over the last 300 years? Somehow, I don't want the real answers to that question. Maybe you do.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues. It's arguably the most important slave trade era monument in Badagry. The point of no return is a huge draw for tourists visiting the coastal town. Most of the enslaved Africans or Nigerians who were traded during the transatlantic slave trade era were loaded onto ships from this port and taken to different parts of the world. For many tourists, the point of no return has some spiritual connection, and that is why it's a must-see for any tourist visiting Badagry. But the place is in total shambles and looks completely abandoned. Locals say the Lagos state government began rebuilding the monument some 8 years ago, but never completed it. And now it's been abandoned. The whole structure is rotting away and collapsing. Virtually all the smaller structures around the point of no return have collapsed. There is no inscription or write-up anywhere around telling the story of this important historic site. All this in a state that prides itself as a tourist destination. It's a crying shame that this place is left like this. So imagine if tourists were to come here. There's just nothing, absolutely nothing to tell the story of this place. Nothing to show that this is the famous point of no return. It's just difficult to understand how we could abandon a monument as important as this in this manner.
It's quite very, very embarrassing looking at the way which the government, even though they've been advocating for, tourism, on the need for us to, invest in tourism, to encourage the citizens to participate and also, encourage tourist activities. But the truth of the matter is that most of our tourist sites, they are not really, strategically fine-tuned in a way to make it more attractive for tourists to come and spend time around. Well, I think this structure, it's more of like a white elephant project because it's very, very, it's a waste. Because you can see now it's dilapidated, and I don't think they are going to continue with the construction of this structure. And this structure, I believe before the commencement of this structure, they should have come up with their plans to see how it's going to benefit and enhance and boost tourism within this community. But maybe they did not do their groundwork very well, so they had to stop it in the long run. It really breaks my heart because this is millions of naira wasted that possibly could have been ventured into another aspect of the tourism. But this is just like millions wasted, and there's no way they can retrieve this lost funds. And people coming down here to catch fun, and they tend to feel discouraged and embarrassed by the sight of these, most especially foreign nationals coming there to come and relax, or maybe to come for their research purposes. They're going to see Nigeria as a country that we are not serious.
Yards away from the point of no return, another abandoned project by the Lagos State government. Locals say this was supposed to be a guest chalet started during the governorship of Babatunde Fashola, but long abandoned. Even this paved road leading to the point of no return has not been completed. Most part of it is yet to be paved. Even in its terrible state, tourists still flock to the point of no return, but they often leave disappointed.
When I was in secondary school then, we came for an excursion here, but the place we went to was 4-story building, and then we were not opportune to come here because they were like, okay, we can't come here since we were young then. But coming now, at least, that was 2014, and this is 2024, let me say that's 10 years ago. So coming here now, and I was like, okay, land of no return, let me come and let me see how it looks like. But on getting to this place, it's very disappointing because there is no evidence, that there is nothing to show that, okay, this is an evidence to show that this is a land of no return. And even this building, I'm just guessing that maybe that is where the colonial master stays then, where they select the slaves and all those things. But I don't know, because there is no one to tell us the history, and it's very disappointing that they just let it go. Like, let me say, it's a waste. Anybody can come here and claim it as anything.
If this monument continues to rot away like it is at the moment, then it's only a matter of time before the point of no return completely disappears from this very sport. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues. Right in the middle of this forest in southwest Ogun State, and inside the buildings below, a young generation of farmers in Nigeria is changing the face of farming and attracting young people to a venture many of them had not always liked. And 36-year-old Peter Okocha Jr., or PJ as he's fondly called, is leading the change. An economist by training before branching off into farming, PJ and his team are deploying a unique method of farming known as aeroponics to grow cash crops, starting out here in August of 2017.
What's taking place is that you're seeing agricultural technology. It's a disruptive form of technology. It's called aeroponics, whereby the plants are grown in a soilless medium. Essentially, there's no soil, and the roots of the plants, which are underneath these boxes, are being misted with nutrients and so forth. So everything is within a controlled environment, and it's fully automated as well.
Their focal crop is yam, a very popular edible starchy tuber mainly cultivated in Africa and exported across the world.
So the yam subsector of the overall agricultural sector, it's a very lucrative sector. But the problem is that the requisite inputs haven't been applied. And so what we're doing in this program is saying that, okay, we know that there's a sector that currently has a value, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization based in Rome, of about $13 billion US. But with the requisite inputs, the yam subsector will grow from $13 billion to about $19 billion. And this is Nigeria alone. So what we've said is that, okay, we know also that Nigeria accounts for 60% of the global production of yam, but yet we don't have inputs such as seed. And as you know, seeds, or the lab and the seed essentially is the genesis of the agricultural sector. So what we're doing is that in conjunction with IITA, we get clean seeds, essentially from IITA, from the lab, and then we come and we transplant to the system here.
The system is a greenhouse where the yam seeds are grown in this row of boxes using aeroponics, more like growing yams in the air. Now just take a look at these leaves. Every leaf you see here is a potential tuber of yam. So to get a sense of how many tubers of yam we have here, you just have to do a count of all the leaves we have here. It's something very massive.
We have about 10 boxes, and in those boxes, all fully automated aeroponic systems, and it leads to high propagation of plants. And so we're actually massively propagating, and it will continue like this for a 3-year period of just continuous growth, non-stop. After the propagation, what you'll see is that it will essentially form a canopy. It will be very bush-like and so forth. And from there, we'll start vine cutting. And from the vine cutting, we'll cut these. We'll put them into essentially polyethylene bags and with a nutrient solution, and they'll stay in there for about a month. And essentially, what it is that because this is in a controlled environment, we're taking them out and saying, okay, we're preparing you for a month to get used to the external elements. And they'll be there for a month, and then we eventually take them to the field.
This is the field where they are brought and planted into the soil so the seeds could develop fully.
These right now currently have been here for about 3 weeks, and we're still planting now, and they'll be here for a total of about 3 months. And after about 3 months, we'll get seeds of about 250 to about 500 grams. And those are the seeds that we'll provide to farmers. And farmers can then go and plant directly, and to give them the ware yam sizes of 1 kg, 2 kg and above.
One of the smallholder farmers who's been using the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm is Awofe Ademola. He's been into traditional yam farming all his adult life and says the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm have seen his output more than double and safe from pests.
There's a lot of difference between the two methods because the new method doesn't get infected by pests and it doesn't change color like the traditional planted yams. It will remain fresh as it is wherever it is kept. Their yam when harvested is almost 3 times or 4 times more than ours. When we plant one of our own seed yam, it equates to 4 of theirs.
Habibat Umar is the only female in the group. She's one of those overseeing the day-to-day running of the smart farm. She says she's fascinated by the whole idea of it.
One of the things that fascinates me most is the fact that we can go all year round producing food, more like you can choose what's and having to depend on the rain and all, and everybody wants to eat all the time. You don't want to wait for when the rain is here, and so the fact that we can provide the food all year round, it's everything to me.
Even though all may seem fine, PJ and his team are battling familiar challenges to keep their operations running.
More attention needs to be given to the sector. There needs to be more financing put in place. We need to have adequate land laws in place and to ensure that we can optimize all the arable land that we have and so forth. There needs to be insurance. We need to have better road networks. Power is a major impediment as well. Essentially we have our own solar system, as well as the fact that we also have a generator as well for backup. So power cost is also a major impediment as well. So all of these things, if we can put all these things in place, then the sector will boom for sure.
PJ and his team are setting themselves up as role models for young people. In a country where youth unemployment is high, they are hoping to inspire many within their age bracket to take to their kind of farming technique.
We need women to even join this chain, because this is not all about, we've gone past the stage of waiting for men doing it. So why wouldn't I want to be part of it? Like, let people say, oh, she's a woman, she's doing it. Do you understand? So women have to join this chain.
My message for the youth is saying that, listen, with the use of technology and disruptive methods such as this, essentially you can run your farm on your laptop, on your computer and so forth and everything. It's all automated. So essentially this makes agriculture cool. It makes agriculture sexy. You have the technological components to it and so forth and everything. So it's not just the conventional, back-breaking work in the field and so forth and everything like that. There are also these components as well that will make it appealing to the youth. So I say, listen, join me. We have a nation to feed and we have a nation to grow as well.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
Because when you go into public office, you must be ready to answer to the people.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians have said in this part of the world. A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Many thanks for joining us on the newsroom. I'm Tamlore Akinkolie, and these are the stories making the round. The presidency has clarified that Nigeria was not among those who competed in the 2024 United Nations Human Rights Council election, which was held on October 9, 2024. According to the press statement signed by the Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, Nigeria was not snubbed. The statement states that any votes mistakenly attributed to Nigeria during the recent election were likely cast in error by other nations. Minister of Interior Olubunmi Tuju-Ojo says the Nigerian government is committed to implementing reforms that will overhaul the Nigerian Correctional Service. Speaking during a presentation, Tuju-Ojo said the Nigeria Correctional Service Act of 2019 mandates a focus on reforming, rehabilitating and reintegrating juvenile offenders into society. He also expressed concerns over the number of correctional centers in relation to the inmate population across the country. And in Delta State, a divisional police officer, DPO, and several others were killed in an early morning ambush, while another DPO is fighting for his life in an undisclosed hospital following a rescue mission in Delta State. This tragic incident was reported by Delta human rights activist Israel Joe in a Facebook post. According to him, the new DPO of Aragbo, who resumed just 2 days ago, along with the DPO of Orerokwe, CSP Paul, and their team, were ambushed at about 1 a.m. while on a kidnap rescue operation near Agbao rail station. The Public Health of the Endangered Species Conservation and Protection Bill 2024 has been scheduled to be held in Nigeria's House of Representatives on October 24, 2024, championed by Honorable Tese Ugbo, Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Environment. The bill tackles pressing challenges such as illegal wildlife trade, conservation of species, and the decline of Nigeria's precious wildlife and their habitats. And on business, the National Assembly is considering a bill proposing an increase in the value-added tax VAT from 7.5% to 10%. In an executive bill said on Sunday, the National Assembly intends raising the tax rate to 10% by 2025. The legislature also intends to increase the VAT to 12.25% by 2026 through to 2029, according to the document. Meanwhile, the bill also proposes a reduction in the corporate income tax to 27.5% by 2025, down from 30%, and a further cut to 25% by 2026. And on the global scene, a man in legal possession of a shotgun and loaded handgun was arrested at an intersection near Donald Trump's rally in Coachella, California on Saturday, police have said. The 49-year-old suspect, Vermila, was driving a black SUV when he was stopped at a security checkpoint by deputies who located the 2 firearms and a high-capacity magazine. Miller was then taken into custody without incident, the Riverside County Sheriff Office said, and booked on possession of a loaded firearm and possession of a high-capacity magazine, while he was later released. And on sport, the Honorable Minister of Sport Development, Senator John Eno, has strongly condemned the recent actions of Libyan authorities who held the Nigerian Super Eagles and their officials hostage at Al Abak Airport. This incident occurred after the Nigerian aircraft, originally en route to Benghazi, was diverted to another city over a 2-hour drive from the intended destination, just an hour before landing. The Honorable Minister emphasized that the safety and welfare of the Super Eagles and their officials remain the government's top priority. He also assured Nigerians that the Ministry of Sport Development is working closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, relevant diplomatic channels and other stakeholders to ensure the immediate and safe release of the team and their safe passage to their destination. And these are the major stories from our newsroom at this moment. We'll update you at the top of the hour. Bye for now.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred.
Even though it is considered that we have a so-called disability, we really are able persons with different abilities.